G'day guys, it's Mark here from North Oz, and in today's video I have here in this box the solution to my power issues in my 2021 Prado. The biggest issue I'm having at the moment is just not having enough outlets in my dual battery system. So I'm talking about USB, the cigarette type style of plug, or I think they call it an accessory plug these days, and also the Anderson sockets as well. There's just not enough inputs for me to be able to charge and be able to power all of my equipment that I need, both cameras and camping wise. There's just really not enough outlets for me to use. So I did a little bit of Googling and I came across this, which is going to be, hopefully, if they sent the right thing, it is going to be a distribution box. So I should be able to mount it somewhere that I'll be able to have access to, and that's going to be another challenge in itself, is figuring out a spot where to put it. But it should give me a little bit more flexibility in terms of how many things I'm able to charge and power at the one time. So this is probably the best option that I could see on the internet at the moment. So I'm hoping that this is going to be really good. I haven't seen many reviews on it, so I figured I will give it a shot. So let's get stuck in and open this bad boy up, and we'll see if it is going to fix my problem. So with the box, we ended up getting a user manual, and we got some mounting hardware as well. So it's just basically two screws that I assume will fit into the back area here, there and there. And we also got, of course, the unit itself with a decent length of cord as well, which should come in very handy for where I have in my mind where I want to put it in the car. So it looks pretty good. We've got 3 cigarette style sockets there. And we have also got, we should have 4 USB 2.1 amps and a 3.0 USB and also a USB-C output there. It's also got a voltmeter as well, which will tell you how many volts you've got left in your battery or batteries. Not too handy for me because I'm running a lithium setup, and there's also a on-off switch as well for that voltmeter, and there's also a light switch which controls a little light there on the top. So could be handy depending on where you put it. And on the very bottom, which is what I'm mostly interested in, is giving me access to 2 more Anderson plugs. So that should be very, very handy. That's pretty much the main reason why I got this, was basically for the Anderson plugs, but also it will keep all of my sockets and charging station and charging stuff all in the one spot. Let me back the car in and we'll see if we can find a spot for this. So I'm just going to have a bit of a look around just to see where I might want to install this. Now, this is the front of my pantry here, and that might not be a bad place for it there because it's kind of in the middle of my campsite, especially once I've got everything out. But this top does come down and makes a little table, so I don't really want to lose that functionality. So that's probably a no-go. I was thinking, one of my ideas I had was perhaps on the side. So it'd kind of sit down the side there. The only reason why I don't think that's a very good idea is because I'm going to have to pull the whole pantry out every time I want to use it or charge something. And as we know, sockets and stuff, they have they stick out quite a bit. So that's probably not going to work there. It's going to foul on the fridge. So another idea I had, it just kind of keep going down the list, is to fix it onto my K-On interior shelf. So I think this might be one of my better options. I'm just thinking on how I'm going to do it. Maybe upside down, so something like that might be the option, might be the way to go. But I'm just not sure how I'm going to get it to stick onto there. I've got a few ideas. We can see if these mounting holes line up, but I'm just not too sure if that's going to be the best place for it still, because stuff is still going to be hanging out the bottom here, and I'm going to have to lean quite a long way in to try to get my stuff to charge, especially at night. It's going to be a bit difficult. So I might go over to where I have all my other charging stuff, which is where I have my dual battery just set up here. I've got my inverter and that here. So this is my current setup. You can kind of see I've got one socket in there already. That's just for my lights, so I can show you what that looks like. So I just flick that on there. And I've got lights in the back there. I had them up here in the past, but you know, now I've put them here just so I can light up my back area without drawing bugs into the top. Also means I can do this, so I can just pull this out here and I can get some light going a little bit further out from the camp. So it's not all going, not all the bugs are being attracted into the interior area. I'm thinking maybe putting the distribution box with all of my other charging stuff might end up being the way to go, just because you know, accessibility. You know, at least I'll know that this is going to be my charging side, until maybe one day I might want to put those seats back, but as it sits right now, I might as well use the space since it's here. I don't really want to lose this area here because it is quite handy just for putting a few things. So I'm going to stuff around a little bit with it, and I'll let you know kind of what I decide on. I'm hoping that you know, I can find a spot that's accessible and will you know, and will also I guess have enough room as well for all of the accessories and stuff. And having a platform or some sort of shelf is really handy just for putting my stuff on. Like, you know, when you're charging stuff, you don't want to be dangling off things and stuff like that. So I need to have a good think about this now, and I'll get back to you where I finally decide to put it, because you might have might give you an idea as well. You might have a similar dilemma. So I'll get back to you once I've thought about it a little bit. So after racking my brain for a while, I kind of settled on one spot, and it's just going to be where the battery box was. So it's easy, keeps it all in one spot. I know I've got my charging station there as well, and it should be pretty simple for me to get all of the things I need to in and out of the vehicle and charged up there. So I just finished putting the two screws there. It's just one there and then one on the other side, just like where I showed you where they mount up. And I'm just going to put this Anderson cable, I'm just going to wrap it around the side there, and that should be fine. As you can see, I've got access to the USB sockets there, and I've got access, of course, to the Anderson plugs, so I can, you know, run things like my fridge. At the same time, I'm also running my air compressor, stuff like that. So as it sits right now, I could only do basically two, and that's it. But now I'll be able to, say, run my air compressor at the same time as I am, say, using my inverter and my fridge. So it just gives you a bit of an idea how you can expand your setup. That's what I've been limited with mine so far. And I'm just going to go ahead and plug this into this last little socket here. The one thing I will say is that this cable is not a very, it's not a very flexible one, but that's okay. But you can kind of see there, the unit is powered on, and the light obviously will not be working, so we won't actually know if the light's on or not, but we do have a on and off switch there, and that controls the voltmeter there, and so we can turn that off. And then we've got our different sockets there. Yeah, it looks good, easy, accessible. I like it. It's not a bad spot. Like I said, it doesn't take up too much room past the battery box, which is good. So it means I'm not losing too much of this little workbench area here, and I can put all my cameras and stuff there when I'm charging. So if you're like me, you're probably wondering if these little lights here, there and there on the buttons, if they are drawing any power, and how much power does that light draw that's on the very top if you wanted to use that. So at the moment it's got 0 power draw, so I mean it's probably so little it's not even registering. So I think you're going to be fine there in terms of worrying about that drawing down your power or wearing down your power on your battery. So if we go ahead and click that light button now on the first setting, you can see it still hasn't registered. So I'll click the second setting, and you'll see that it's jumped up to about 0.12, 0.11 of an amp. And I'm going to go ahead and click it one more time. This is going to be the brightest setting, and it has jumped up to nearly 0.2 of an amp. So you can see it does use a little bit of battery. If I turn that off, so it does use a little bit of battery using that light, so just keep that in mind if you wanted to use that. It will use up pretty much about the same as my rear light setup uses, so just keep that in mind. So I might just do a quick little test run now. I've got these lights on here that I'm just going to turn on. So I'll just go around to the side here, just like we would if we were camping, or we were doing things that require light. Now I've got my back area here, how it would be if I was using the ones closest. So I might just adjust that a little bit. See if that gives us enough room. Okay, gives us a little bit more room there. Let's plug this in. And we will, helps if we turn everything on. And that should be all good if everything works correctly. Yeah, so there you go. So that has fixed the biggest gripe I've had about this dual battery system since the day I installed it. So I always had, and I was always moving sockets around to try, turn the lights off so I can charge up my phone and stuff like that. So this is really handy now. I'll be able to charge up everything I need to. Cameras, lights will be able to go on. Fridge will be able to stay on. I can use my air compressor, not have to worry about having to move everything around every time I want to do something or use a socket. So for $180-ish, I think it was, that saved me a lot of hassle. But of course, if you can do this from the very beginning when you get your car wired up, or if you wire up your car yourself, it'll save you a bit of time and money. But for me, it was a bit of an afterthought. I wasn't really thinking I was going to use that much, sockets and that many, that many appliances and sockets and stuff. So yeah, so that was my fault. But this has been a really great fix to try and solve that. And you might want to just start off with that, and then you'll have enough sockets from the get-go. You won't need a battery box or anything like that if you can integrate it all. So I will be using that if I do a different setup, which I'm thinking about changing up my setup a little bit in the next maybe 6 months. So that will probably come in a little bit handy as well. I can kind of build it into my design that I have racking around in my brain. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, put in the comment section and make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.